Surprisingly, Nasdaq's year-to-date performance as of today is hovering around -5 to -6%, while Alibaba's year-to-date is currently up 9%. Definitely nothing to be proud of because Nasdaq made a killing last year while Alibaba got killed instead. So at its lowest, Alibaba was down more than 60% from its peak. And despite averaging down, my portfolio was also in the north of -30% and up, and I believe most of you are too. So volatility is actually a characteristic of the stock market, and we just have to get used to it. So this is just a quick reminder that don't feel 10% smarter because your portfolio is up 10%. Because conversely, you will feel dumb when you're down. So with that logic, I probably have an IQ of around 70 coming into 2022 because I lost at least 30 IQ points last year. Anyhow, I believe there have been some developments surrounding Alibaba's price action, and whether is it warranted or not, I shall leave it up to you to decide and be the judge. So you know how else to prevent yourself from losing IQ? It's to smash the like button, of course. So please, don't let your IQ slip away from you because Alibaba is enough of a headache. So in hindsight, there was definitely immense amount of pressure on all the different Chinese equities in 2021 because it was during the prime time of the crackdown from the government. And more importantly, the government has many concerns that they wish to address, and they have specific KPIs to hit. So by KPI, which is Key Performance Index, I would probably mean benchmarks such as deleveraging, fixing of the loopholes in the system that were exploited over the years, reprioritizing some of the agendas being prescribed from the highest office and by Chairman Xi himself. And on top of that, coupled with some solid commentaries, it definitely felt like doom and gloom for all these different internet giants in China. So these overtly pessimistic narration of what's happening in China clearly didn't help. So I was still able to recount back in 2021, specifically in my Discord chat, link in description by the way, everyone was busy updating each other from sources all over the world, ranging from the US or even the Chinese media and sometimes even Europe sources about maybe a new rumor or a new speculation that surrounds the continuous crackdowns and fines and how the businesses will be destroyed and disrupted and how the CCP essentially just hates Alibaba. And during that period, no news was good news. Investors heaved a sigh of relief when Alibaba did not appear in any headlines. Of course, I'm not saying that bad times are over, by the way. For all we know, Alibaba might vanish just tomorrow. Their 1 billion users don't mean anything if Chairman Xi wants them off the face of the earth at this point in time. That said though, just within the past 2 weeks as we enter into 2022, Alibaba has also never failed to amaze shareholders by staying in the limelight and staying in the headlines of different articles, both for good and bad reasons. So I'd just like to remind everyone watching me that the bad times might not be over yet, even though I personally feel that we are quite near. But like anyone, I could be wrong, and I have been wrong umpteenth amount of times, and the stock prices operates in waves. So this tick upwards might just be accompanied by Alibaba crashing below 100 soon. So I would briefly be covering the few developments around Alibaba that happened probably in the last 2 weeks, and we'll just classify them accordingly based on my own understanding and my own interpretation of the different news developments. So first on the list, it's definitely the irony of the US Senator Tommy Tuberville. I hope I didn't butcher his name, and he has been a staunch critic of China and its companies since last summer and has bought and sold options in Alibaba. So recently though, he made 3 separate purchases with his wife of Alibaba shares valued as much as $300,000 in total, according to a financial disclosure report. So earlier in July last year, he also bought put options in Alibaba, and those transactions were only disclosed in the report after the news report about his violation of the Stock Act. I mean, I understand that this is a free world, and I understand that this is a free market economy, like how Nancy Pelosi puts it. But after criticizing China and hating on it so much, at the same time buying a position in those companies just screams one word, and it just means clownery. Of course, he attributed the management of his portfolio to his financial advisors, and they probably did it without his knowledge, right? $300,000 is probably a small amount to them. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt, but at least we know that his financial advisors are on our side and they deem that Alibaba might be a good investment. So another positive news that transpired was that Alibaba's grocery chain called Fresh Hippo or Hema considers funding at a $10 billion US valuation. So Fresh Hippo, for those of you who have forgotten, is their high-tech grocery chain which attempts to integrate AI and software into the grocery buying experience, and it also acts like a fulfillment center for their customers' grocery needs. So this separate fundraising actually points towards the prospect of Alibaba considering to spin off this particular grocery chain as a separate business, unlocking some of the value in the brand. So under Daniel, he coins this as his new retail strategy, where online and offline retail experiences are seamlessly integrated and to diversify beyond the company's flagship like Taobao and Tmall, as all we know. So Fresh Hippo will just be the start of the many potential projects or investments Alibaba makes over the years to help provide more opportunities and value to its users and, more importantly, to its shareholders. So now, onto the traditional reporting regarding Alibaba. So earlier, I did make a video surrounding the rumor that, hey, China might be forcing Alibaba to divest its stake in the media company, and specifically in Weibo. And Weibo is essentially one of China's biggest social media platform, or some might call it the Twitter of China. So there isn't any clear guidance with regards to the veracity of this rumor, but just recently, Daniel Zhang, who is Alibaba's chairman, just resigned from Weibo's board of directors. Hence, there has been wild speculations and there are many different theories out there that this might be the last nail to the coffin. That said though, Alibaba's chief marketing officer has been appointed as the new board member. Whether this rumor holds any water, whether Alibaba is being forced to divest their Weibo stake, I will let you be the judge. So this relationship between Weibo and Alibaba might not be so easily drawn away either way. Next, Ant Group's plan for restructuring might also be further delayed as one of the state-backed investors, which is China's Cinder Asset Management, withdrew from the deal of contributing to 20% stake of Chongqing Ant Financial due to prudent commercial considerations and negotiations with the target company. So initially, they were set to invest around 6 billion renminbi, which is around 946 million USD, in exchange for 20% of Ant's loans businesses to help beefen up their capital reserves. And clearly, it seems like given the current conditions of the Chinese economy and also the performance of Cinder Group in today's context, they will have to reevaluate their balance sheet and their ability to take up this investment. So many investors were actually looking forward to the expedited restructuring process of Ant Group, given that there has been such strong support from all these different state-backed firms like Cinder. Because most of them just want to see the revival of Ant's IPO, and it can be seen as a proxy of the slowing down of the crackdown and maybe the Chinese government giving the green light to Alibaba as a company. Personally though, I didn't expect too much shareholders' value unlocking even when Ant goes IPO. And I don't think they should go ahead to rush this particular process instead, because you know what happened to Didi. So one thing you learn for sure, going for the long game and positioning yourself as a sustainable business is a very, very important characteristic to sell it to the Chinese government. Because at the end of the day, what's the point in hurrying when you know that you can probably never outrun all the regulators because you're operating in this specific environment? So lastly, on the pessimistic outlook of Chinese equities, I would like to reassure you that they're still here. They have never went away and they'll probably not go away. So don't be too excited that China will be out of the dust so soon. So just recently, after the IPO clarification from the CSRC, you still have articles with this kind of headlines coming out from Reuters, by the way. Chinese offshore IPO clarification looks ominous. So this fear surrounding Chinese stocks or Chinese-related equities is not day one, and it will never be D-Day. I look forward to more smoke coming our way and how things can be spinned into 1,001 different ways. Sooner or later, you will see Seeking Alpha articles as well, stating that Alibaba has a fair value of $5 too. What a spectacular time to be alive, right? Hope that we remain vigilant of our own actions and our own decisions, and the markets are always climbing on a wall of worry, under the impression that CAMNC is way scarier than a world pandemic that killed millions and millions of people. Hope you're not too spooked by him. So with that, I'll see you in the next video, but more importantly, I will see you on the moon. Goodbye!